Okay, we are live. This is Jack from Fluency.com. Now, today we are going to practice our English. We're going to look at different areas of your English and practice them. But before we get into that, I'm going to talk about a key concept when it comes to sports and specifically how to get better at a certain sport. And this is important because it can be used in addition when it comes to learning English. So when it comes to learning English, we can use examples from sport in order to help us improve or to help us think about the best ways to improve. Now, before I get rolling, there's a couple of things to know. Firstly, smash that like button, which means click the like button. Click the join button to become a member. So if you've been following my channel for a while, or if you're new here, you can join as a member. There's going to be exclusive content coming soon. For now, this is the best way to support me and my channel. And then after, be sure to watch more lessons after this one. So go to my channel, watch more lessons after this one. We've got a lot of content on the channel for you to enjoy. But first, hello in the chat. If you're watching live, welcome to you. We've got Mary McCain here, Vinicius, who was the first person on the chat, Lolly, who is a Fluency member, Marina as well, Tam. We've got people from all over the world. So it is great to have you here. In case you are wondering, I'm currently drinking from the J mug, a lovely green tea. I stopped drinking coffee about 4 months ago. So I haven't had coffee for 4 months. If you know about me, in the past, I drank a lot of coffee. So that is really different. We've also got Denise here, who is a member too. Again, you can become a member by clicking the join button or by clicking the link in the description. Okay, let's go back to some of my notes because I've got a quick question for you. What sport is this? What sport is this? Let me know in the chat or just say it out loud. Say it out loud. It's a very popular sport in the US. I've been playing a little bit of this sport recently because we have a hoop in our neighborhood. And I'm going to give away the answer. It is basketball. Okay. And a basketball hoop is what we use. Now, I usually use soccer for my examples or football because I love the sport. It's my favorite sport in the world. I play it a lot. I watch a lot of football, but I thought I would mix it up today, to do something different, mix it up by talking about basketball. And again, if you're just joining, this is relevant because we're going to look at how we can learn from basketball in order to improve our English. Now, let me go back to this and just give you a little bit of vocabulary for today. There are 4 words to really think about today. The first one is isolate. The next one is elevate. The next one is training. And then the last one is intentionally. Intentionally. Okay. So isolate. To isolate means to separate. To take something and know that there are lots of parts to it, but then separate one part. To elevate means to improve, to raise, to improve. Training, what we're doing here is talking about sports training, and intentionally means to do something that you really want to focus on. So sometimes when we're learning English, what we do is we just do things. But to intentionally do something means to do something for a reason. Okay, so intentionally do something. We have got 120 people watching live and only 36 likes. So if you are watching live or if you are watching on the replay, then click that like button. Click that like button And somebody says, how can I share this live on my Facebook feed? Okay, if you're on your phone, you can, there's like a little share arrow button. Click that and then click Facebook. And then you can share that on Facebook. But thank you for sharing. Marta says, greetings from Costa Rica. I really appreciate your lessons. Thank you. Hin says, elevate or lift. Yeah, elevator or lift. I say lift, elevator in American English. Let's have a look. What is isolate? So to isolate means to separate from something. Okay, so I'll give you an example. It will make all the sense when I talk about basketball. So we're going to talk about basketball today. And I've got a question for you. How can someone get better at basketball? How can someone get better at basketball? Okay, so think about this. How can somebody get better at basketball? Most people, when they answer, they say, play basketball. Of course, play basketball. So to get better at basketball, you need to play basketball. Another question is, how can someone get better at speaking English? Speak English. To speak English. So this is something that a lot of people think about when it comes to learning a language, learning the guitar, improving sport, is to actually do that sport. So to get better at soccer, you need to play soccer. To get better at speaking English, you need to speak English. To get better at basketball, you need to play basketball. However, what's important is this. Athletes don't do this because basketball players don't just play basketball. They don't just play basketball, okay? They do something else. They train intentionally. They train intentionally. And this means what they do here is they isolate and elevate. And that's what I want to talk about today. So we're going to talk about this concept, to isolate and elevate, and then we are going to practice. Okay, we're going to practice certain parts of English so that you can really understand this concept. So to isolate and elevate, this is when you take a part of a sport and you practice a specific part of it. And I was going to show you some pictures, but instead I thought I could show you live. Okay, so with basketball, there are certain skills that we have. You can do shooting. Okay, this is to shoot a basketball. So what we can do as a basketball player is to take this skill, isolate it. Okay, so you can isolate it by standing here and throwing the ball this way and practice that skill over and over again. With basketball, we can also practice dribbling. We can practice throwing. Those are some of the basic skills when it comes to basketball. But we can also do other things as well. So we can improve our wrist strength. This is our wrist. We can make the wrist stronger by doing specific drills in the gym. Basketball includes a lot of jumping. So we can practice and do strength training to improve our knees and our ankles and our hips. We can do specific drills so that we can jump higher. This is all about isolating the different skills and elevating. So what we can do is we can take these drills and specific things and make them better so our all-around basketball game improves. It's quite a simple concept, but it's an important one to know. So with football or soccer, we can practice things like sprinting, jumping, moving from side to side, dribbling the ball in and out of cones, passing, shooting, heading. Football players, they practice these things in training. They don't just play all day. They practice and they train intentionally. So that's what I want to focus on today, is to think about how we can intentionally train our English. Okay? So before we go into that, we have some people are saying speak more quickly. Some people are saying slow down. This is my teaching voice. This is how I teach. If you want to listen to normal everyday English, then what I recommend you do is go to my conversations. My wife and I have various conversations in English. Check those out. And also listen to podcasts, listen to stuff in English in general. And that's an important point, because what I want to say here is today we are talking about isolating and elevating to train intentionally. But it's also important to do other things with our English too. Oh, I miss that mustache. I had a mustache for a little while. I miss it now. But yeah, two things to do. Listen a lot and to use the Fluency method. So these are things where we're not really isolating things. We're practicing in a more general way. But you can listen a lot and use the Fluency method. If you want to learn more about the Fluency method, go to my channel and you'll find the video for that there. But like I said, what we're going to focus on today is to isolate and elevate. So what are some ways that we can do this? What are some examples of things that we can specifically focus on in order to improve our English? And I think there is one thing that everyone should be doing and not a lot of people are doing. It's a great way to really train your English intentionally. We can also call this dedicated practice. Okay, dedicated practice, where we're thinking about what kind of things we want to do and actually doing them. Lolly says you look good without the mustache too. I like the mustache, but my wife didn't like it, so I shaved it off. So what are some things that we can focus on in order to improve our English? And while I'm waiting for that, be sure to like this lesson. Okay, so just like this lesson. Why do you miss it? I don't know. I think it just looks different. I just saw a picture of it and I thought, I miss that mustache. Okay, so what are some things that we can do? I'll give you one. One is grammar. So we can really isolate grammar and say, and we're going to practice this soon, and say, what I want to do is work on how to use a present perfect. We can isolate the present perfect, work on the present perfect, get lots of practice. And what I recommend is get lots of sentences for the present perfect. And then when you speak English the next time, you are better at using the present perfect. So that's an important thing to think about. So grammar is one. I'm going to give you another one as well, which is pronunciation. And I think this is such an important area to focus on for English learners. This is something that you can do on your own as well. And that is what the Fluency method is about. It's working on things on your own so you can improve on your own. Not everyone can afford a teacher. And also, it means that you can learn English on your own at any time of the day, whenever you want. So really focus on this area. I'm just going to give you my method real quick. It is the LRRC method. This is my method for improving the way you speak. It's to listen to audio, record your own voice. Repeat it, record your own voice, and then compare it to the original. And we're going to do a bit of that today. So let's go back to Keynote. We're going to go on to this. This is the first way to practice. And I've actually got 3 things to practice today. And what I want you to do is practice along with me. So the first one is the T versus the D sound. And I'm doing this one because I know a lot of people struggle with these two sounds. These are called minimal pairs, okay? Minimal pairs. I'll put it in the chat for you. And a minimal pair is when you have 2 words that sound quite similar, but it's important to be able to say them both differently. So the first one is the T sound and the second one is the D sound. A lot of people don't really separate these two things. So that's what we're going to practice today, okay? So the first one is the T. T. The next one is the D. Okay. Now the D sound, the biggest difference between these two is the position of your tongue. So with the D sound, David, dad, da 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 da. Okay. This is where you put it. D da 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 da. Your tongue goes just behind your teeth at the top of your mouth. There's a little ridge there, a little ridge. So with the D sound, we want to put our tongue there. Can you practice this? D, d, d. Dad, dad, dad. Okay? So when we do that sound, our tongue is behind our teeth at the top of our mouth. Now, when we do the T sound, it's a lot sharper. And again, the tongue position is important. With the T sound, tat, tat, tat. Your tongue is behind your teeth and they slightly touch at times. Tat. So let's practice. Dad, tat. Dad, tat. And for a lot of people, these consonant sounds need to be stronger. Okay? They need to be a bit stronger. So yeah, try that. Dad, tat. Dad, tat. And to practice them both, you can say tad, 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 tad. So that is a minimal pair, something good to practice. Now, Lolly says it's so difficult for me to hear my own voice. Yes, a lot of people find this difficult, to listen to their own voice. But it's important to try it. I don't like listening to my own voice, or I didn't used to like it, but because I've watched so many of my own videos, I just listen to them. It's just normal to me now, okay? So T versus D. But by listening to your own voice, you are better able to understand the mistakes you're making, to listen to the mistakes that you're making. In Canada, we tend to pronounce the T as a D. Yeah, when there's two vowels either side. So for example, Katie is my wife's name, and she says Katie, Katie, Katie. There's a camera called ATD. ATD, and you'll hear people say ADD, ADD in American English. Okay, back to this, T versus D. The next thing I want to practice is this. Sh, ch, sh, ch, sh, ch. This is a digraph, or two digraphs. And this is where we have two words together that create a sound. So we have, I'll put it in the chat as well, the ch versus sh sound. A lot of people struggle with this, but what we can do is we can isolate this, the two sounds, and then practice them in a way so that we can produce these sounds when we're speaking English in natural conversations. So, ch, sh, ch, sh. This is a good one to know, the ch versus sh sound. Now, again, this is all about the tongue position as well. So, ch, what we're doing with the ch sound is our tongue is touching the ridge at the top of our mouth again. Ch, cherry, cherry, ch. Try it, cherry, 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 cherry. And then sherry, sherry. This time our tongue isn't touching the ridge at the top. It's more or less in the middle near the front, but it doesn't touch the teeth. Sherry, sherry, sherry. Cherry, sherry. And Lolly has a good one. Share and chair. Share, chair, sh. And you can notice with the sh sound, it has this shh, which sounds like a bad microphone. Whereas the ch, 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 it's sharper. Chair, share, chair. Again, listen to your own voice in order to understand if you are making these sounds correctly. So we've had T versus D, sh versus ch. And then I just want to share something else when it comes to isolating and elevating is this. Pick it up. Now, listen to this. I'll put it in the chat too. Pick it up. Pick it up. Now, this is an example of linking, where the words link together so it sounds like one word when you're speaking. So instead of pick it up, you'll hear people say, pick it up, pick it up. Two ways, pick it up, or pick it up. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. The second one is probably more common because it's easier to say, and as speakers, we are very lazy when we speak. We like to link things together. We like to reduce words. We like to use the schwa instead of vowel sounds to make things easier. So here it is again. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. That's what you're going to hear when English speakers speak. What we can do is we can think about these types of words and really practice them. Okay? So again, pick it up. And then what we have here is something called relaxed pronunciation. And can you say this? Can you say this sentence? I like this sentence because it's showing relaxed pronunciation, but also linking. And instead of saying, I kind of want to go, you will hear, I kind of want to go. 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 And it all links together as one word. So practice it now. I kind of want to go. I kind of want to go. I kind of want to go. That's a very American phrase. I kind of want to go. I kind of want to go. Okay, so that's another one to learn. There's so many of these things like kinda, wanna, gonna, shoulda, coulda, woulda, don't ya, did ya. I'm trying to think of some more now. But yeah, those are very common in everyday English. But again, what we can do is instead of just practicing speaking with somebody and getting a conversation, we can take these elements of speaking and practice them, isolate them. Take one element of speaking, practice them, and improve them to elevate them so that when we speak normally in everyday English, we can use this in a better way. So that is the first step that I wanted to talk about today with isolate and elevate. We're going to practice a little bit of grammar next. And I'm going to talk about my keys to learning grammar over the long term. But first, we're just going to have a very quick break. And a lot of people say they love this song. So yeah, enjoy it. Now's time to get a drink if you need to get a drink, or to just take a little break, and then we'll come back in a second. Okay, I'm back. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to isolate grammar and how to elevate it, including how to really learn grammar over the long term in a more natural way. But I think when it comes to grammar, it is important to think about different ways that you can improve specifically, but then also how you can get that long term, what I call internalization. Now, I've got a couple of questions. Mary asks, Jack, please pronounce chili and chili. And I'll write them in the chat for you. Chili and chili. So it is a little bit chilly today here. I went to Chile in 2007. Both are true. Riquia says, how to pronounce TH sound in fluent speech, need guidance, sir. Yeah, so this is all about the tongue position, which is behind the teeth, but also it just like comes under it a little bit too. So this, or it sometimes comes under. What I recommend you do if you want lots of practice is to join my program, because I have a full pronunciation guide where you can get all the drills, see my mouth doing them, practice them yourself, and then get feedback from me. And this is in addition to the fluency phrases and memory cards and lessons that I have inside the program. So I've left a link in the chat. If you want to check that out, check that out. Now, Vineet says, I find it so hard to pick the changes in the vowel sounds, as if they are sometimes just appears, disappears like that. I'm asking in reference to connected speech. It's really daunting for me. Yeah, this is interesting. It is difficult to pick up these differences. What I recommend you do is really focus on this dedicated practice and listen to audio of English speakers speaking and try to imitate it. Just like we have been doing. Work at it, isolate the different sounds, produce those sounds and improve as well. So this is the way that you're going to improve. It means lots of dedicated practice, but doing that is really going to help. Let's move on now. We're going to talk a little bit about grammar. A lot of people have been asking me recently how or when we use being in English. Okay, so we have the verb to be, and people want to know how to use being in English. So how to transform this verb and when we do this. Now, here is a sentence that I think is really useful that is going to help you with this. I enjoy being here. I enjoy being here. So I'll put this in the chat as well. I enjoy being here. This is an example of verb patterns. Now, a verb pattern is when we have two verbs together, and the second verb, it's either in the infinitive, the bare infinitive, or the gerund, depending on the first verb. So sometimes it's to be, sometimes it's be, sometimes it's being. I'm going to give you some examples in the chat. The first one is I enjoy being here, which we've just seen. So after enjoy, we have the verb or the conjugation being. But after certain verbs, then we have the conjugation just be. Let me be. Let me be. Okay? Just let me be. So in this case, to be changes to be. Let me be. And then when we use to be is, for example, I love to be beside the seaside. Now, sometimes we can say I love being by the seaside, but this is a song. Oh, I do love to be beside the seaside. This is a song that we used to sing when we went to the beach as a kid, when I was a kid. So I love to be beside the seaside. This is an example of when we use to be. So we use being after verbs where we have after verbs that always have the gerund. Another example is I hate being late. This is another example. I enjoy being here. Those are types of verbs that we use with being. So that's one way. The next way is, and somebody's already left a good example, is this. Being a teacher, I know a lot about that. Being a teacher, I know a lot about that. Because Lolly Lolly says being a learner or an English learner is so enjoyable. So this is when we're using it, it's more as like a noun. Being a teacher, I know a lot about that. this is when we're using it at the start of a sentence, okay? So being a teacher, I know a lot about that. Being in America is amazing, okay? Or being in America right now is crazy because of the election. Watch my video on the election. Now, this last one is one that I really like. He's being a little silly right now. He's being a little silly right now. So what we're doing here, we're talking about somebody who is acting in that moment. He's being a little silly right now. Now, what you can say here is normally he's not silly, but right now he's being silly. So we tend to use this for actions and behaviors, especially when it's not that common, or it's not normal for someone to be silly. You might hear people say you're being pathetic. You're being pathetic. Stop being pathetic. Another example of a verb pattern. Stop being pathetic. Stop being silly. Stop being pathetic. Pathetic. I love that word. Stop being pathetic. He's been a little selfish today. You know, he's been a little bit selfish today. So we're using it in the gerund to highlight it's a temporary thing. It's happening right now. Vineet says, I've always been repeating the same mistake. Yeah. Now, when we're using the present perfect, we use been. I have been. Or in the past perfect, I had been. So I have been a little bit silly today. I had been a little bit late in the past. So those are just some examples of how we can isolate and elevate our grammar too. Now, what I recommend you do when it comes to this is learn about the grammar. So learn about how we use it, but get lots of good examples from context, and then get repetition of sentences. And I call this the Fluency method. It's where you use software to take sentences and learn them over the long term. So this is what is also inside the Fluency program. I'll leave a link there because I have lots of sentences that you can learn so you can really understand grammar in a more natural and what's the word I'm looking for? It's a great phrase. What's the word I'm looking for? In a more natural, and just so that you can say things with more accuracy and fluency. So it comes out very naturally. Okay. And now, Lolly Lolly has an example. I am being a little sad at the moment because of the lockdown in France. This is an example of I'm a little sad at the moment. Because it's a feeling, not a behavior. So you can think about the difference between to be silly and to be sad. To be sad is a feeling that you have. To be silly is a behavior. He's being silly, he's being energetic, he's being brave, all of these behaviors. But yeah, I heard about the lockdown in France. I saw a picture of people leaving Paris to escape it. Okay, Mary says she's being naughty right now. No, that's Nikutu. Yeah, she's being naughty right now. Great. I was being a little low-key these days. Okay, if you say these days, I've been a little low-key. Okay, or I'm being a little low-key today. English with bombastic says confidently. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Yeah, so you're more confident about what you're saying and you're using things in a way where it comes out naturally. Automatically as well. Automatically, where you don't have to think about the rules. Okay. So that is what I wanted to go through today. I'm just going to do a quick summary, and the summary is important because then it'll help you understand things in a better way. So firstly, we talked about basketball and asked the question, how can someone get better at basketball? And a lot of people say, play basketball. How can someone get better at speaking English? Speak English. Practice your English with English speakers. However, basketball players don't just play, they train intentionally. And they do things where, I've learned this from someone recently, which is to isolate and elevate, to take a skill and improve that skill so your basketball game improves in general. And we can do this with our English too. Firstly, we can really isolate the way we speak, and we learn some drills today. T versus D, sh versus ch. We also learned linking, connected speech, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. And then also relaxed pronunciation. I kind of want to go. I kind of want to go. I kind of want to go. Kind of want to go. We can also isolate and elevate our grammar. And we looked at this verb to be and how we change it to being. I enjoy being here. I really enjoy being here right now. We can also use it as more as like a noun, as a start in the gerund. Being a teacher, I know a lot about that. And we can also use it when we're talking about behaviors, because generally speaking, we don't really use to be in the continuous form as part of a verb. We tend to use to be, like I am in England. I am in America. He is 16. You don't say he's being 16, he is 16. But when we're talking about behaviors in the moment, he's being a little silly right now. All right. So, some people have some questions. Now, this is a good time to ask your questions. We have over 200 people on this live stream. Again, please press that like button so more people see it. And also, if you want to share this with your friends, then please do so. Just click that share button and share it with people who you know or on social media. A couple more things to do. Join the Fluency program if you really want to isolate and elevate your English in general and to get lots of practice. And also, feel free to join as a Fluency member. We have Lolly Lolly as a member. You get those cool little icons next to your name. And what I'm going to do in the future is make sure that I read comments from members over other people and really answer members' questions. So yeah, check it out. Let's have a look today. People are asking the difference, or if I say learnt versus learned. Yeah, learnt, learned, both are correct. The first one is more common in the UK and I think in Australia. And the second one is more common in the US, learned. I learned a lot today. I have learned a lot today. I learnt a lot today. I have learnt a lot today. I'm not sure which one I use the most at the moment. I would like to know, actually. I'm going to notice this when I speak. So, kinda. People are asking about kinda. Keep the questions coming in. I'm going to answer some questions for a little bit longer. So, kinda is a relaxed form of kind of. Kind of. Kinda. I think kinda is a little bit more common in everyday English. Okay, so that's a good one to learn. Kinda versus kind of. There's another question I saw before which I wanted to answer, but I can't remember what it was now. Okay, so keep the questions coming in, everyone. Ahmed says, I'd already shared it. Thank you. People are saying thank you. Does the accent vary along the US? Yes. So the accent is different in different parts of the US. We have things like a very typical American accent or a general American accent. I can't do that one. But if you think about the difference between New York and, let's say, North Carolina, I'm going to try this. So there are differences. In New York, you'll hear people say things like, I love your dog. What a beautiful dog. That's very strong. But you do hear people say stuff like that. Whereas in the South, it's a little bit more, that was more general. I live in North Carolina. Oh, in Texas, it's a little bit more, hello. I can't do the Texas one. there are too many people watching live for me to do this properly. But yeah, the accent changes all over the US. There's also the Boston accent. Another good example is Peter from Family Guy, because they are from Rhode Island, or it's quite close to Boston, and there's an accent for Family Guy too, and that is the Rhode Island accent. So you can notice the difference sometimes between the different accents in the US. Ayush says, hello sir, I am new on this channel from India. It is great to have you. Click the subscribe button and also click that bell so you get notified when I go live. The standard American accent is a type you hear on TV like CNN or talk shows. Yeah, I think so. That's a good example. There is a lot of talk now about how, for example, in the UK there is the received pronunciation, RP, which is, the way the Queen speaks. And in the past, you had to have this type of accent in order to be a TV presenter or to present the news. But now there is a big push or a movement to bring people with more regional accents into programs like that. And there's also a big push in the English teaching world as well to highlight the fact that people have different accents. Someone asked before when to drop the G sound in ing, or this example here, long. Now this produces its own sound, long, but you also hear like talking instead of talking, so it's a harsh N sound. But where I'm from, we tend to pronounce the G at the end, long, which I don't do as much these days, but I still do it every now and then. But that's a good example of how people will say, no, you don't say the G at the end. You don't say that. Why do you say that? But people do, depending on where you live. It's a regional thing. Or thing. It's a regional thing instead of thing. Which British accent do you recommend to start learning English? I think it just depends. You can get a variety of accents. The RP accent is quite useful in a way because a lot of language courses focus on this. So if you focus on that yourself, then you'll be able to learn. I teach more of a general but soft northern accent. Another example is when I say sun, I tend to say sun. It's more of a schwa sound, sun, which is what they say in the north. Okay. Stewie has an English accent though. Yeah, he does. There's a great example of, what's his name? The guy who created Family Guy, and he's on the Graham Norton show. And he is going through all the different accents that he does. So it's really interesting to see how we can just change accents. I will read this message from William. Thank you very much. You are one of the best teachers on YouTube. I'm an old advanced English learner. I'm working on pronunciation and accent. I love the way you teach and explain things. Thank you so much. It's really nice of you to say. Mary says, how to link the words properly like natives, how to keep them recognizable at the same time. Yeah, so when I was learning English, I was learning how they link words in Spanish too. Now, when it comes to linking, I think it's important to think about, okay, do I need to use linking when I'm speaking, or should I practice this so that I can better understand English speakers? Because if you practice this actually practicing, then you can better understand people when they use it. So if you hear things like, I kind of want to go, 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 and you practice this, then what you can do is when you understand, or when you watch TV shows, you can better understand people when they use it. But it doesn't mean that you have to use it in everyday speech. So it just means that you can understand people when they speak, but it's up to you if you use this when you are speaking. Is it difficult for you to understand English speakers with a typical Japanese speaking style, let's say? Thank you for your question. Sometimes, but what's important to know is because English is the universal language in travel, in business, TV, culture, for most of the world, or a lot of the world, let's say. And because of that, English speakers hear non-native speakers talking all the time. So we get a lot of practice when it comes to listening to French people speak English, Japanese people speaking English, Chinese, etc. So we're used to the way that other people speak, which means English speakers have practice in understanding others. So most of the time, we understand people even with strong accents, even when it comes to a really strong accent. So just know it's great. It's a great for you as an English learner to know that people can understand. Mary McCain says Seth MacFarlane. Yeah, that's his name. Seth MacFarlane. Have a look at that video because the way he does accents is amazing. Is the Australian accent difficult to understand and listen in comparison to all of other accents? Not for me, no. It's quite easy to understand. The ones that are hard to understand are, I'll put here strong Irish and Scottish accents. I think those two are quite difficult to understand. Also the Scouse accent too. People from Liverpool. That's terrible. But they speak in a different way. They speak in their own way. Is it normal if I don't understand a close Birmingham accent? Well, it depends. It depends on how much practice you've had, how much listening practice you've had for a Brummie accent, a Birmingham accent. So practice it more, but it can be difficult to understand sometimes. So let's see. DS, I'm from Brazil and I learn English of the British accent. I prefer because to me the accent is more easier to understand. Yeah, it just depends, doesn't it? Some people say the American accent's easier to the American accent's easier to understand, and other people say the British accent's easier to understand. How much time do we need to learn English? Please, can you tell me? Yeah, well, it depends. So let's say you have a B1 level and you want to get to a C1 level. I think when it comes to using the best methods and when you're really focused on it, I think, let's say a year, or let's say 12 to 18 months. 18 months. Oh, I can't type. I can't see my keyboard, that's why. 12 to 18 months where you spend, let's say, 1 to 2 hours per day on methods that I've talked about, and then you get listening practice on top of that. So maybe an hour a day and lots of listening practice on top of that, using methods like Isolate and Elevate, the pronunciation course, doing things like lots of repetition of drills, and then getting the listening practice and also some speaking practice too. I think 12 to 18 months is probably perfect for you. Obviously, you can do it quicker, let's say 9 months, but you're probably looking at more like 3 to 4 hours, or let's just say 3 hours per day, and then listening practice on top of that. That's just a guess. It might only need 2 hours a day, depending on the methods that you use. So that's an important element too. Do you go to Ireland? Do you speak Irish accent? I've never been to Ireland. Never been. But I'd love to go. I've met a lot of Irish people over the years. And again, it depends. The Northern Irish accent can be quite strong. Southern Irish or Republic of Ireland accent usually is a little bit softer for me. Can you understand a Cockney accent from East London? Yeah, definitely. Unless they use the rhyming slang. Is it really crucial to speak alone at home, looking in the mirror to be more fluent in English? Yeah, I mean, you say, is it crucial? I think it really helps, especially if you're recording the way you speak. Using the method I talked about before, LRRC method, where you're recording yourself say things so that you can listen to the mistakes you make and then improve upon the way you speak. What about from B2 to C1 or C2? I don't really ever say C2 because I think once you reach C1, everything else is just easy. Then you're using your English and you're improving in lots of little ways. But the goal of becoming C2, it's not, or the way that people define it, it's not always easy to do, let's say. I think once you get to C1, then it's just about really fine tuning your English, okay? Which means learning even more vocabulary, improving the way you speak a little bit more, and then getting more specific about how you're going to use your English. English accent is way easier to imitate, in my opinion, but if you choose British one, you look and sound more charismatic. What do you think every English speaker has to know grammar? Is it important? Yeah, so with the grammar, there's a difference between know and, let's say, know rules or know how to use grammar correctly. There's a difference there, to know the rules and know how to use grammar correctly. And the example I give is, I'm on a WhatsApp group with my friends in the UK. If I say, give me an example of the present perfect continuous, don't Google it, but just give me an example of the present perfect continuous, they would have no idea what I'm talking about. If I say, give me an example of the first conditional, not one of them will have an idea about an example of this. They won't know the first conditional, the second conditional, third, mixed. They won't know present perfect tense. They won't understand. I don't even think if I say, what's a gerund? No idea. Because we in the UK didn't get taught this in school. We got taught things like verbs, adjectives, adverbs. So we understand that. Let's type that correctly. But they won't be able to explain the grammar rules. However, in most cases, they can use grammar in the correct way. They're able to use grammar in the correct way because what they've done is they have internalized the patterns through lots of repetition and practice and lots of listening, but they haven't really internalized grammar rules. So they can't explain the rules, but they can use grammar. That's where I want people to get to. I think grammar rules, or at least examples of grammar, can help you get there, but it's really the repetition. Okay, let's type that correctly again. Repetition of grammar, sentences, of English in general, that is going to help you reach that stage. So I think it's really important to think about the difference there and know that it's the repetition and the exposure to English that's going to help you reach the stage where you can use grammar in a way that just feels natural, where you're not thinking about rules, where you're using grammar automatically and fluently and accurately. And you're not thinking about, present perfect, past simple. You're just using it in a natural way. Without imitation, can I be fluent in English with only lots of listening practice? I'm not too sure. There is a theory out there that it's called the silent method. Some people mock it or say it's silly. However, I have seen people use this quite successfully, where they just listen. All they do is listen, and they don't actually practice their speaking. But because they get so much listening practice, they reach a stage where they can just produce it because they've internalized the sounds in a different way. I think the imitation method And the repetition method that I've talked about really speeds things up from my experience and my research. But, you know, get lots of listening is so important, to get lots of listening. Someone says, I'm stuck in B2 level. What should I do to reach C1? Watch my last lesson, my last live lesson. Have a look. It's a great lesson where I talk about how to overcome that intermediate plateau. Okay. Do you add WhatsApp groups? For me, I don't have a WhatsApp group at the moment. I'm thinking about adding one. It would be paid, but I'm not too sure yet. I'm not too sure if I'm going to do that. Can you give a tip to me, please? I know many words, but I have difficulty making sentences. And Don't Be Stupid says, I have the same problem. So I think this is so key. It's the sentence method. This is the embedded video on my channel. So when you go to my channel, it's that top video you see. Watch that after this one. And Alex says, what do you think about the 10,000 sentence method of language learning? I think it's great. I think it's everything. Especially if you're using high frequency sentences and words and phrases that people use in everyday English. So yeah, you can use that. Get the 10,000 sentences and just practice and practice and practice. What people do though is they try to do too much too soon instead of thinking, all right, over 2 years or 3 years, maybe 4 years, let's just say 3, I'm going to learn 10,000 sentences. Okay. And then that way you are able to do it at a slower pace. I think it's better to learn 1,000 sentences really well than 5,000 sentences without getting the repetition. Stefan is here. Good to have you. Hi, I'm from Argentina. I really enjoy watching and learning with your lessons. They're great. Have you ever thought about learning Spanish? Or maybe you already know. Sí, un poco. Hablo un poco de español. Hace mucho tiempo que no hablo en español, pero quiero aprender un poco más y a veces ver la televisión en español. Y mis niños aprenden español también y me disfruta mucho, pero no practico suficiente en este momento. That is my Spanish. I've not spoken it for a long time. But yeah, there it is. And I've been to Argentina. I spent how many weeks? 6 weeks in Argentina. 13 years ago. I can't believe it. It's 13 years ago I was in Argentina. I was in places like, where did I go? Tucumán, Cafayate, I think it's called, Salta. I went to Patagonia, Buenos Aires, Iguazu Falls, all that kind of stuff. Okay, I understand TED Talks only 60 to 70%. Is that a problem with my English? Should I take an IELTS exam? What do you advise me? Okay, if you need IELTS for a specific reason, then what I would do is find an IELTS teacher and have them evaluate you so you know what level you are at and what score you are likely going to get. And then from there, you can say, okay, I'm going to take the test in 6 months. This is what I need to do in order to pass the test. Do you have any stress management tips that you've been applied before, Jack? Yes, I mean, stress is a really big thing. This is not my area of expertise. Just as a personal note, I gave up coffee. I gave up coffee 4 or 5 months ago, and more or less caffeine. I just have a little green tea 2 times, 3 times a week. But giving up coffee has really helped me. But yeah, it just depends. It's hard to say because I'm not an expert when it comes to stress. But if it's in terms of learning English, what I would say is this: focus on the process, not on the result. So it means focus on what you need to do daily to improve, but don't constantly think, oh, my English is bad. I'm here. I want to be here. That was my last lesson. Think about how you can just enjoy learning English. Make it fun. Focus on just doing things daily. Listen to things you enjoy. Practice every day so that you know you're getting better. I'm teaching myself Japanese, but I haven't been disciplined. Yeah, discipline is key, isn't it? It's consistency. Consistency is key. So Esther says, but you love coffee. I do, but I gave it up. I feel a lot better for it. How can I memorize vocabulary? Again, this is like let's just call it the Fluency method. There are lots of methods about it, the sentence method. But what you need to do is get lots of repetition. Watch my video. It's embedded, or it's the featured video on my channel. Okay, I'm going to go a little bit longer today, so keep the questions coming. Ahmed says, I've been learning English speaking by myself. Yeah, it's good. It's good to do. There are a few ways you can do it. You can do the LRRC method, listen, repeat, record, compare. You can shadow. You can speak to yourself as you're walking around the house. There's a lot you can do with it. Is there any difference between I need to and I have to? I need to and I have to. I need to go, I have to go. I have to do it, I need to do it. Yeah, so have to is stronger. It's a stronger way. There's more, what's the word I'm looking for? Have to. I'm a little bit tired today, by the way, and I'll tell you why. We got a new puppy. So we have a new puppy at home. She's only 8 weeks old. Let's see if I can find a picture of her. She's 8 weeks old. And she wakes up a lot. All right, let's see if this works. Can you see that? I'll put it there. That is our new puppy. Misty. But she wakes up at 4 a.m., 5 a.m. So I've been up since 5 o'clock. It was actually 4:30 this morning. So I'm a little bit tired. It takes a little bit of a while for me to really think about things sometimes. What do you think of the German language? Have you tried to study it? Yeah, I tried a little bit. In the past, when I think it was about 2013, I tried to learn around 4 languages at the same time, but then I stopped and just did Spanish. So I started to learn a little bit of German, but I decided just to focus on Spanish at the time. Do you have a video for grammar tenses? Yeah, I have a lot of videos. Just if you go to my channel and search for tense, you can always search people's channels, and that's a way for you to find videos on a specific topic. Or in YouTube, you can say grammar tenses to fluency, and then you can find the lessons that I've made. And if you want to make sure it's my videos, you can also add Jack in there, Jack from to Fluency. Jack from to Fluency. I learned English by reading a book aloud every day from cover to cover. I like it, love it. You get a book, maybe with an audio book, you read it out loud, you practice. Yeah, really like reading out loud or speaking out loud, it just changes the way you have to think about learning English, because everything else is quite passive when you're reading and listening, but when you're speaking and saying things out loud, then that makes a difference. It really switches on your brain to internalize things too. Thank you. I continue to watch and learn from your videos. Thank you very much. What's the difference between the past perfect and the present perfect? Yeah, so the present perfect relates to the present and the past relates to the past. So I can say, let's have a think about an example. I haven't taught the past perfect for a while. So before traveling, I hadn't been to South America before. Okay, so before traveling, I hadn't been to South America. So you don't need to say before twice. Before traveling, I hadn't been to South America. This is saying in the past, I had never been to South America at any time before this point. But I can say I haven't been to Asia before. What we're doing is relating it to the present, because until now, I haven't been to Asia. I might go in the future, but until now, I just haven't been there. Thank you very much for that comment. Your pronunciation is so clear. Proud of you. Thank you. What is strategy and what is tactics of language learning? Okay, if you want a video on language learning tactics and strategies, I have a playlist for this. Let me get that playlist so you can have this after the lesson. I've got a full playlist on it, which I think is really useful. This is it. I'm going to share it in the comment section. There's 7 videos. Boom. What's the difference, by the way? You can proceed and you may proceed. My boss always tells me you may proceed. You may proceed. It's very formal. You may proceed. You might just hear people say, okay, continue. It depends on the context. Or go on. Okay, go on. Go on. Go on. That's an example. But it just means, I don't think there's a big difference between those two. Have you ever been to China? Never been to China? Is this your normal speaking pace? Yeah, it's a little bit more normal now. At the start of the lesson, it takes me a while to warm up sometimes because I haven't really spoken that much today, and then I start the lesson and then suddenly I'm speaking and it feels a little bit strange. But right now it is my normal speaking voice. I've read Frankenstein 3 times this year. Please could you give me some advice or tip at rereading a book? Yeah, as long as you enjoy it, I like it. I have this is a good, is it in this playlist? No, I need to put it in the playlist. I have a reading method. Read for Fluency, it's called. And I'll post this link again in the live chat. So open it to a new tab. But what I like to do here is, when it comes to reading, there are 2 types of reading: intensive and extensive. Now, intensive is when you're really focusing on the language. So you see a sentence, you don't understand a word, you use a dictionary to find the definition, and then you say, okay, I've learned that new word. Extensive reading is when you read a book, but you don't stop. You just read it for fun. What English speakers do when they read a book, they don't look up words unless they really don't understand. They just continue reading and reading and reading. Whereas intensive, again, you're looking at words in the dictionary, you're really analysing grammar, you're thinking about sentence structure. What I like to do is this. Read extensively for a chapter or maybe 10 pages. If you don't understand something, highlight the word. At the end of the chapter, look up the words. And then I also like to use Kindle, because with Kindle, you can then go back and look up all the words you've highlighted separately. So after you look up the words, then you can put these sentences into Anki and then read the next chapter. Do the same again. Then practice with Anki so you learn the sentences and you get the repetition and you learn them over the long term. And then go back and then read extensively. So then what you've done here is you've enjoyed reading the book, you've learned new words and phrases, and then you can go back to the book and then read it for fun. I did this when learning Spanish. It's such a good method. I did it for a romantic novel, in fact, and it really helped my Spanish because it used everyday Spanish. There was lots of dialogue, lots of conversation. So I was using Spanish in the way it was spoken. And I still have that book in my Kindle. So if I go back, I can see all the highlighted sentences. And because I learned them through Anki, then I can say, okay, I remember all of this now. I remember these words and phrases. And it's just a great way to practice. And another thing you can do is get audio for it too. So find audio phrases or the audio book, sorry, so that you can learn the way it is spoken at the same time. How to improve writing skill. I have a video on writing skill. To Fluency writing skills. Search for that in YouTube, and then you can really practice. Someone says, what is Anki? Anki is software where you can repeat, got up my phone, repeat sentences in a way that you can really learn English in a very effective way. So if I go into here, this is Anki here. Oh, there it is. If I put my face here, then it can, okay. So this is Anki, okay? This is from my program. And you can press, I want to do it. So you hear, I want to do it. And then you can say if it's good, oh, focus there, good, easy, or hard. So say good. The next one, oh, using a verb pattern from today. Listen. He enjoyed going there. He enjoyed going there. That's using a verb pattern with enjoy. So what you're doing is you're putting sentences into the software. And when you learn a new sentence, you see it today, then you see it in 2 days, 4 days, 8 days. And what I recommend you do is just practice repeating the sentences, writing them down, listening to them, or saying them out loud. And in that way, you're going to get the repetition you need in order to learn those sentences. That is, so with my program, the Fluency program, you're going to get, I think, 1,200 sentences to download into Anki, all based on YouTube lessons that I've done before. You can also make your own flashcards as well, and you can find some online to download. Could you explain the differences between American or British English in another live video? Yeah, I've got loads of videos on that too. How many videos have I made in total? Let's have a look. If I go to content, I don't know if this includes live streams. I don't know where it says how many, probably around 800 videos now, 700, 800 videos. If I just put American, let's see, 4 differences between British and American English. I'll put this in the live chat for you, so you can watch that. Where can I find this app and how much is it, please? So Anki is free to download for most people. If you want it on an iPhone, it's $25 for life. So you only pay $25 once and it's done. But if you just use your computer, it's free. If you use Android, it's free. But otherwise, it's $25 to use on an iPhone. I use it for lots of stuff. So in the past, I've used it for history. And I've also got like American Revolution. So just key stats about the American Revolution to learn. So great way to learn. It just, what it does is it takes, because you're going to forget something unless you repeat it. And what that app does is it makes sure that you repeat things enough so you remember them, but not too much so that you're doing something every day or like 6 times a day. So it's really efficient. Let's see. What do you think about studying with music? Yeah, I do it. I like to listen to music when I'm studying. Where can I download this app? I'll get a link for you. Anki. It's this one. And also what you can do is, if you make an account, then you can sync it through your computer and your phone. So if sometimes you learn on your computer, then it syncs to your phone. Is there a method to improve fluency and understand even more. And thank you so much. Keep it up. Thank you. Yeah, I've talked about that a lot in this lesson, about the methods we can use for fluency. I think the sentence method, the flashcards, the LRC method, which we practiced today. Now, if you're coming to this lesson late, then be sure to go back and watch from the beginning again, just to go through the specific things we focused on in this lesson. No need to apologize for mistakes, everybody. That's how we learn, is by, getting lots of practice and making mistakes. Let's have a look. Elchin says, repeated listening, is it powerful to boost listening? Because normally I practice 1 to 2 hours a day, daily normal listening things. Yeah, I love repeated listening. I always say, with our conversations, watch our conversations for the first time with subtitles, then learn the sentences in the description, and then watch it again. The second time, you'll learn so much. Alex says, by the way, what music are you into? This reminds me of a question everyone asks when you first go to university or college. So you meet people in your residency where you're all living, and you say, oh, hi, I'm Jack. Where you from? Preston. Oh, yeah. So what music are you into? And everyone used to say, a little bit of everything. A little bit of everything. A little bit of everything. But for me, I generally like stuff like Bob Dylan and Neil Young. So I guess like rock folk from the 70s, 60s, 70s. I really like those two. I love also like the 2000s Arctic Monkeys, those kind of bands. I guess like a little bit of Kaiser Chiefs at that time. Not my favorite band, but just an example. And then I also, as a guilty pleasure, I love, how would you describe it? Like dance pop music. I love dance pop music. Things like, especially 90s dance. So many good songs from 90s dance. And also, somebody who is relevant now, I guess, is like someone like Calvin Harris. Not all of it, but just some of it. I'd love to get that energy music. I'd love to feel it. I like some rap and hip hop as well. I really used to love it. Like Notorious B.I.G., I guess Puff Daddy, Warren G back in the day. But now some rap, but not a lot. It's just what's on the radio sometimes. But I tend to listen to podcasts and YouTube videos most of my time. That's what I like listening to a lot. Okay, let's go back to this. How about that technique when you have a conversation between you and a speaker in your mind? Yeah, again, this is just like practicing. This is taking your practice and then trying to use it in a more everyday way. So you take the practice you've been doing, where you isolate and elevate, and then you're practicing speaking and pretending to have a conversation with somebody so that it feels like a normal thing. And then this way, what you're doing is really just thinking about the sentences to use in the right moment. Hi from France. The most difficult thing for me to improve my speaking with someone, I like to find an app or something free, because for me it's really important. I'm editing a video on that right now. So I'll have a video on how to get practice with speaking next week. Can you name the movies you have proposed or watched? Oh, we watched a movie for the first time in a long time the other day, and it was a new Borat movie, which I was in a silly mood, and it reminded me of being younger. So it was fun, but it's okay. It's okay, I like the ending. I really like the ending. But in terms of movies, just start watching them. If you enjoy it, enjoy it. If not, move to something else. Sometimes children's movies are good, because that way the language is always going to be a bit more simplistic. And again, they're using everyday English, but just in a more easier way for you to understand. So maybe like Toy Story, Monsters Inc. Top of my head, this. The worst one, I can't stand it. Trolls World Tour. Oh my goodness. It's just, it's frantic. But yeah, children's movies are good to watch. Shrek, which is obviously, it's more of a family movie, I guess. Okay. We have done 1 hour and 20 minutes. What do you think about listening to stories with subtitles? Yeah, I like graded readers plus audiobooks. Yeah, graded readers and audiobooks. Great, because then you're getting the everyday English, but in the more natural form. And then also you're getting the audio for it as well. Somebody said Home Alone. Yeah, Home Alone. What a good film. Home Alone, Home Alone 2. I don't recommend Home Alone 3, but Home Alone 1 and 2, great movies. And again, they're a little bit more easier to understand than, let's say, something that is just made for adults, like a horror movie. I like Sherlock. Sherlock is good. I like, is the Doctor Who useful? The Goblins? I think you've watched with your family. So just try Doctor Who. Like, see if it's going to be good for you. Start watching a little bit and think, okay, is this good? Is this bad? And then go from there. And just think about, can I understand this as well? Okay, everybody, I'm going to end it there. Again, some things to do. If you want to learn about grammar tenses, reading methods, writing methods, speaking methods, just search for Speaking Jack to Fluency or Writing Jack to Fluency on YouTube, and that way you're going to find all my videos on that topic. If you want to get the method that I recommend before using Anki, go to my channel page and watch the featured video. Now, other thing to do, get my book, The 5-Step Plan for English Fluency. This is free to download. Join my program if you want to jump right in and get some really good resources and methods where I talk about the best methods to learn and give you the materials for it. And then also consider joining to Fluency as a member on the YouTube channel. That way you're going to get the little badges next to your name and some other perks and free stuff too. And then finally, I know this is a lot, but like this lesson, just click that like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe if you are new. Okay, again, thank you so much for being here, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye for now.